Today I acquaint you with Claude Monet, the way his art predated visual science, and his eventual blindness. I have wanted to be fair to all of our art movements so far, and I hope I made you feel like I love all of my children equally. But I am so excited to be in Impressionism. This era is just banger after banger. Spring is here. We are refreshed. Let's discuss. Impressionism is just a style of painting that almost looks like a porcupine. It's defined by these quick, short brushstrokes, and it gives the viewer an impression of the scene depicted, rather than a realistic visual description of what it's like. A lot of landscapes painted today still derive from the Impressionist style because it is so captivating. In short, Impressionism is about the way a scene feels, as opposed to the way it looks. Now, Claude Monet is considered the father of Impressionism and was actually the one to name it, while Friedrich, video linked below, laid the groundwork for successful landscape paintings. Monet laid the groundwork for all modern art. Similar to Friedrich, Monet almost exclusively painted landscapes, and in doing so, flew in the face of French art culture at the time. This brings me to the term avant-garde. You've probably heard this term thrown around, but the way I understand it is basically just whatever ideas pushed the envelope at the time they came out. Characteristically, avant-garde artists did not create popular art while they were alive, but later their works are regarded as masterpieces. Just as a painting style starts to become widely accepted, it falls out of the avant-garde category and into mainstream. The work that we've looked at so far has definitely been mainstream works, apart from some of Goya and some of Friedrich. But now is really the time to introduce you to this idea of artists that went against the grain with their painting styles. Monet's whole deal was about capturing atmosphere instead of image, and the Paris Salon was not ready to accept this type of work as indicative of a successful art career. For those of you who haven't been here long, the Paris Salons were huge exhibitions of paintings from up-and-coming French artists. So Monet got together groups of like-minded artists who created their own version of the Salon-style exhibitions, but for avant-garde art. These people included artists like Monet, Renoir, and I've heard rumors that these avant-garde salons were set up close enough to the Paris Salon to cause some tension. Let's talk about one of Monet's paintings, Woman with a Parasol, Madame Monet and her son. This oil on canvas was completed in 1875. There's no crazy backstory with this. It's Monet's wife and son. But we still consider it important because it diverged so heavily from the standard painting style. We have not seen any successful French painters break from realism so definitively as Monet did in this piece. The other artists we've studied so far would have posed this woman and her son as the focus of the painting. They would have been well lit and their features would be clearly defined. While it's true, in Monet's version, the figures take up the dominant space of the painting, it's really the sunlight that seems to have captured Monet's attention. He embraces the shadow cast on the foreground by the woman's parasol, and in turn gives the light in the piece true reverence. I feel like this depiction chipped away at class barriers as well, because while no one except for Monet saw this exact scene, I feel like everyone is familiar with the way this feels. And this created something that more people could relate to, compared to the kind of stuffy, highbrow art that we've looked at so far. That's Monet, baby. Here's another piece by Monet called The Rue Montorgueil in Paris. We will eventually get to English pronunciation things, and no one will have to hear me suffer through this eventually. This piece is really special because of the peripheral movement Monet was able to capture. If you look at the flags directly, they seem to be painted kind of haphazardly and out of focus. However, if you look at the crowd below, the flags look like they're waving in the wind. This effect is really difficult to see in the computer version you are looking at, and I can't exactly speak from experience, but supposedly in the live painting, this is true. If you look at the crowd, the flags appear to be waving in your periphery. Historians posit that Monet had a more advanced eyesight than the average person, which allowed him to see and reproduce things that most people would miss, which is presumably how he was able to capture this sort of optical illusion manually. According to the artstory.org, science was not able to properly prove how this was done until many years after Monet's death. Monet painted all the way up until his death at 86 years old, but as early as his mid-60s, he was having eye problems. By 1914, he had developed debilitating cataracts, which severely impacted his vision. He received a corrective surgery in his right eye at age 82, and while it improved his ability to distinguish color, he refused the same surgery in his left eye. His works in this period give us insight into the way these eyes saw the world. While no doubt he experienced frustration with his vision changes, these new works would eventually open a door into the world of abstract art for future artists. Let me tell you, there is always something interesting to learn about art history. That's what made me fall in love with it, and I hope you all are enjoying what I have to share with you. After I finish moving through the Western canon, I'd really like to explore some new areas, so let me know what kind of things you would like to see more of. We're still a ways off from finishing the Western canon, but I want to get a gauge on what you are interested in. Thank you all for watching this video on Monet, and I will see you next time.